We live in interesting times. Today's stories. Tunisian Prime Minister says he'll form a government of independence. In Colombia, Claudia Lopez is sworn in as the first woman mayor of Bogota. Israel's Netanyahu to ask parliament for immunity. In Austria, Kurz calls coalition deal with the Green as an excellent result. A look back at 2019's top stories here in the U.S. Plus, Pasadena's Tournament of Roses Parade welcomes 2020. This is Eagle News coming to you from Las Vegas, bringing you stories from around the globe. I'm Anna Clee. Tunisia's new Prime Minister, Habib Jamil, says he will form a government of independence after failed negotiations with the political parties.
لا القائمة ما هيش على القائمة أنا سلمتها للسيد رئيس الجمهورية اللي هو باش يتولى إحالتها بمقتضيات الدستور إلى السيد رئيس مجلس نواب الشعب وإن شاء الله غدوة من المفروض تكون عندكم القائمة. طبعا أنا كي نقول نشكلوا حكومة مستقلين لازم يكون الناس كلهم يكونوا مجمعين على استقلاليتهم ومجمعين على كفاءتهم باش نجموا نتقدموا البرلمان. يعني مانيش أنا باش نعمل حكومة معزول في مكتب في دار الضيافة. دونك فيه تشاور وهناك بعض الوزراء سيستمروا وستعلمون بهم غدا بشرط كما قلنا استقلاليتهم وعلى الأحزاب ونزاهتهم. ليس من السهل. أنا نأكد لكم اللي حضور المرأة سيكون في حدود ايش تحبوا انتم التناصف قربنا له إما إن شاء الله مرة جاي نحققوه في حدود تقريبا 40%.
Center-left politician Claudia Lopez is sworn in as mayor of Bogota and becomes the first woman to lead the Colombian capital, which has been the epicenter of recent mass protests.
Para acompañarme en este momento tan especial de la vida, a posesionarme como la primera mujer diversa, electa como alcaldesa mayor en la historia de Bogotá. Prometo honrar esa confianza y dar todo de mí para que nuestra Bogotá sea en los próximos 4 años una ciudad y una región más cuidadora, más incluyente, más sostenible.
Hoy quiero decirle a Claudia López que no se quede solo en palabras lo que vino a decir, que cumpla, que haga un buen trabajo.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Wednesday he would ask Parliament for immunity weeks after the embattled premier was indicted on a range of corruption charges. The move is expected to delay the start of court proceedings for months, as lawmakers are not due to vote on the matter until after March 2 elections.
לא קידמתי שום חוק ולא שיניתי שום חוק. בכוונתי להתייצב בבית המשפט כדי לרסק את כל העלילות המופרכות נגדי. חוק החסינות נועד להגן על נבחרי ציבור מתפירת תיקים, מהגשת כתבי אישום פוליטיים שמטרתם לפגוע ברצון העם. החוק נועד להבטיח שנבחרי העם יוכלו לשרת את העם לפי רצון העם. לצערי, זה מה שקורה במקרה שלי. תפירת תיקים, אכיפה בררנית, סחיטה באיומים של עדי מדינה, הדחת עדים, מבול של הדלפות פליליות ומגמתיות, בשטיפת מוח ערב כדי להסית נגדי ולעשות משפט שדה בעצם, על ידי הטיית דעת הציבור. טוב, מכל הסיבות הללו, כדי להמשיך להוביל את ישראל להישגים אדירים, בכוונתי לפנות ליושב ראש הכנסת, בהתאם לסעיף 4ג לחוק, כדי לממש את זכותי, חובתי ושליחותי, להמשיך לשרת אתכם למען עתיד ישראל.
Netanyahu was charged in November with bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in 3 separate corruption cases. He denies the allegations and accuses prosecutors and the media of a witch hunt. A sitting prime minister is only required to step down once convicted, and after all, then avenues of appeal have been exhausted. The Supreme Court has postponed a decision on whether a premier can be tasked with forming a new government while under indictment. Allegations against Netanyahu include receiving gifts worth thousands of dollars and offering to change regulations in exchange for positive media coverage. Despite his legal woes, Netanyahu remains popular within his right-wing Likud party and last week secured a landslide victory in a leadership challenge. The premier vowed to win the upcoming general election, although early polls indicate the vote could again result in a stalemate. The march to election was called after neither Netanyahu nor his centrist rival Benny Gantz managed to form a majority coalition following September polls. Sebastian Kurz, the leader of Austria's Conservative People's Party, OAVP, praises an agreement with the Greens to form a coalition government.
Diese Regierungsverhandlungen, so ehrlich muss ich sein, waren nicht einfach, weil die beiden Parteien in ihrer inhaltlichen Ausrichtung sehr, sehr unterschiedlich sind. Wir haben aber in einer respektvollen Art und Weise ein meiner Meinung nach exzellentes Ergebnis erzielen können.
Austria's conservatives, led by Sebastian Kurz on Wednesday, agreed to form an unprecedented coalition government with the Greens, capping almost 3 months of negotiations. The polls were triggered after a corruption scandal engulfed Kurz's far-right ally after just 18 months in government together, during which the 33-year-old had carefully cultivated his image as a hardliner on immigration. Greens leader Werner Kogler said the two disparate parties had managed to, quote, build bridges to form a government for the future of Austria.
Ja, wir haben uns im Klimaschutz möglicherweise weiter geeinigt, als man das vorher ahnen hätte können. Österreich soll zum europäischen und internationalen Vorreiter in Sachen Klimaschutz werden.
It will mark the first time the Green Party has been in power. The ecologists made key gains in the September polls, with the environment replacing immigration as the top voter concern. Kogler said the Alpine country, which has been among just a handful of EU nations that have seen their greenhouse gas emissions continue to increase between 1990 and 2017, would aim to become a frontrunner in terms of fighting climate change in Europe. The two leaders indicated they would reform the tax system to lower the burden on Austrians, a key OAVP promise, but at the same time introduce higher eco-taxes in line with the Greens' campaign. Kogler said transparency, including freedom of information and fighting poverty among children, the elderly, and women would also be a priority. Observers have said the new government would face challenges after Kurz's previous rule with the far-right Freedom Party, or FPOE, saw a raft of anti-immigration measures passed, sharply dividing Austrians. Describing a deal as a huge stretch, analyst Thomas Hofer warned Kurz could lose voters he gained from the FPOE, which he managed to pick up in the September polls when the OAVP got 37.5% in total. The Greens secured 13.9% of the vote, their best ever result due to the environment replacing immigration as top concern in the country of 8.8 million people. Up next, a look back at some 2019 top stories here in the U.S. Eagle News will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Eagle News coming to you from Las Vegas. I'm Anna Klee. Here's a look back at 2019's top stories in the country with Eagle News correspondents Eliza Gonzalez-Manglikmot and Ace Ramirez.
Happy New Year from Washington, D.C., everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Happy New Year to you, Ace.
And Happy New Year to you too, Eliza. Greetings, everyone. Join us as we bring you the major stories that made headlines in the U.S. this past year.
In politics, 2019 started with the continuation of the longest government shutdown in United States history. It started on December 22, 2018 and continued on until January 25
Yes.
of this year,
I
2019.
remember that. President Donald Trump and Congress could not finalize a budget for weeks because they could not see eye to eye on the president's desire to use federal funding to erect a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. Congress and the White House finally agreed on a federal funding 35 days later.
35 days, the longest in U.S. history to date, and we're hoping it doesn't happen again, or doesn't happen longer.
our fingers
story,
crossed.
yes. Another story that ran long in the U.S. news cycle is the Robert Mueller investigation, wherein Mueller and his special task force investigated possible interference by the Russians in the 2016 U.S. presidential elections.
And throughout the year, Congress and the White House had many different scuffles on TV via Twitter, but none bigger than when the Democrat-led House of Representatives held impeachment trials against President Donald Trump.
That is true. In the political arena, it is safe to say that this one is the biggest news story in the country, if not the world, in 2019, with Donald J. Trump becoming only the third president to be impeached by the House in the history of the United States. He was impeached on 2 articles, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
And I would agree. In January, we will see how this chapter of Trump's presidential career would unfold as the Republican-controlled Senate tries to end this with an acquittal, thereby keeping President Donald Trump in office.
That is what's expected to happen if it ever gets sent to the Senate.
If. That's a great point. If it gets sent, because as of this report, Nancy Pelosi is holding off on handing it off to the Senate. Meanwhile,
let's
in
move
sports,
on.
while it was a turbulent year in Washington when it came to politics, it was a great, historic year in sports
Indeed.
for the nation's capital.
In women's basketball, the Washington Mystics became the WNBA champions for the first time in franchise history with an 89-78 Game 5 win over the Connecticut Sun. 2019 also has seen the Mystics record their best ever, so another historic one, regular season with 26 wins and only 8 losses.
If Mystics fans were excited, just imagine how exuberant Washington, D.C. baseball fans were after the Washington Nationals turned their season around from being the second worst team in the National League in May 2019.
Really? Second worst.
Right. The record was 19 wins and 31 losses. To not only gaining a 5th playoff berth with a record of 74-38, but eventually ending their Cinderella season.
Ding, 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 Cinderella, that's the word.
By coming back beating the Houston Astros in Game 7 of the Major League Baseball World Series.
This was their first championship in franchise history. Another first in sports was the Toronto Raptors winning the NBA championships against the Golden State Warriors dynasty and becoming another first, the first Canadian team to bring the NBA championship title north of the border.
That's right.
But it wasn't always happy news or celebration. There were also some devastating things that happened to the country this year.
In other news, according to gunviolencearchive.org, an evidence-based research group, the number of mass shootings in the U.S. in 2019 is more than the days of the year.
Unfortunately, that is true, Ace, and records show that there have been 417 mass shooting incidents in the country this passing year, killing more than 200 children aged 0 to 11 and more than 700 teenagers aged 12 to 17 and injuring thousands more.
Thus, sparking more debate on gun control, laws, and use. Shootings that anger the country this year include the Virginia Beach, Virginia rampage in May. It's a city employee that killed 12 and injured several others.
Also that which happened in Odessa and El Paso, Texas in August, claiming the lives of 8 in Odessa and 22 in El Paso. And just days ago, a church shooting in White Settlement, Texas, killing 2.
As we enter 2020, we have yet to see where these gun control debates would take the nation and if it will help lessen, if not eradicate, senseless gun violence plaguing the country.
Meanwhile, natural disasters also filled the news headlines. One of the most searched news stories of the year was Hurricane Dorian. This major storm formed on August 24 as a tropical wave in the central Atlantic and became a hurricane on August 28.
According to the National Weather Service, on September 1, Dorian reached Category 5 intensity with maximum sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. According to the National Weather Service, Hurricane Dorian battered the Bahamas so badly, it is regarded as the worst natural disaster to impact the region.
The worst. The storm killed more than 60 people in the Bahamas and cost billions of dollars worth of damage. It threatened the U.S. eastern seaboard, but the damage, however, was minimal compared to the devastation the storm caused in the Bahamas.
And we can't forget about the fires that ravaged California for several weeks, scorching thousands of acres and burning structures along its path.
Displacing thousands, not just hundreds, thousands who have lost their homes and everything they have, but also giving a chance for neighbors to help each other out in times of grief. That's the good part about it.
There's hope in humanity. As we have witnessed, resilience always shines through amid very trying circumstances the passing year has brought.
Stories in 2019, happy or sad, have made its way into our homes, giving us the opportunity to think, examine, and act on things that affect us and those around us.
Because we truly live in interesting times. From Washington, D.C., I'm Ace Ramirez.
And I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglik Mott, wishing you all a very happy new year, and we are one with 25.
Thanks, Eliza and Ace. When we come back, we will take you to this year's Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena, California. Eagle News will return in a moment. You are watching Eagle News, coming to you from Las Vegas. I'm Anna Kui. For several years now, our Eagle News team in Los Angeles joins thousands of spectators at the Tournament of Roses parade in Pasadena. Welcoming 2020, Eva and Alan Basalaje will take us to this year's celebration.
Some people say 2020 is the start of a new decade. Other people disagree. What's your vote?
Yeah, I think 2020 is the beginning of the new decade.
I say 2020 is the start of a new decade.
I was going to say start, but when I really thought about it, I think one is the start. So I think this is the end of a decade.
What is your New Year's resolution?
So less stress, and I think more kindness.
Enjoy life and enjoy every moment of it.
I'm going to try to be on my phone less this year because I'm on it a lot.
Spend less time on my phone and more time with my kids and more time outside.
Fitting into those jeans again or reading some more books. But I think living every day and with that power of hope.
Happy New Year! We are one with 25! Yay!
Every New Year's Day, Pasadena, California is the capital for seekers of
marching bands, equestrian units, and oh yes, floats.
People talked about what brought them out to Pasadena and their experience watching the parade in person.
Excited to watch the Ducks play in the Rose Bowl and be here in Pasadena and watch the parade and the game.
New Year's Day combined with nice weather, a big blimp flying above us. I mean, what more can you ask for right now?
So our son is a senior at Madison, and he is in the marching band, and so he will be marching down the street here very soon.
Live flowers on every single float. There is no color spray paint or anything like that. It's flowers, it's seeds, it's everything. It's all natural. It's unbelievable.
We have the Rose Parade in Portland. That's what I'm used to seeing. So I guess I'm here at the granddaddy of parades as well as the games.
It's hard to believe what they do with all of the, materials that they use. It's fascinating and it's beautiful.
Prepare for a lot of traffic to get here in the last 1 mile.
I can't put it in words because it's so beautiful and everything, instead of watching it on TV. So the being here changes everything.
It's being with all the people, seeing the same thing, and especially if you go and see the floats earlier and seeing the last minute touches, and then to actually see them come down the street and say, wow, we were able to see them working on that. And it's, I don't know, it's just kind of thrilling.
It's the most beautiful show that is possible. I go to it like every year, and every year it's such a huge source of positive emotions. Even people who do not like flowers, they really enjoy it, and I enjoy it for sure.
I loved it. It's just beautiful, and all the roses are amazing, and it's very well organized, and it's a very happy way to start the new year.
I used to watch it on the TV as a kid, so now to see it in person and see all these beautiful flowers up close, it's really amazing. It's beautiful to see all the detail work. I mean, things I never knew, like all of the wording of things are laid by beans one by one, and to see that up close is something you can't get on a TV.
Just the amount of effort that goes into all these floats, the detail with every single little bit of flower. You get up close to them, you see them out, and you're like amazed how, much work this went into the parade floats. You don't really see that on television, but here you do see it in person. You see, wow, that's a lot of work. That's really beautiful.
The floats are amazing, either watching the parade or seeing them up close. It's nothing like what you see on TV. It's really cool to be here.
The theme for this year's parade is the power of hope. We asked attendees what their hope would be for humankind.
I wish everybody would just be kinder to each other. I think it would just make things a lot easier if everyone just had kindness.
Other than hoping for a duck victory, peace, and everybody has a place to shelter.
Less divide and more, unity.
We can see our similarities and focus less on our differences.
Get along a lot more.
I hate the hate in the world lately, and I just would like everybody to just calm down and just enjoy the fact that we have a life, and more kindness for sure.
After seeing the size and grandeur of these floats in person, it's no wonder that an estimated 800,000 attendants,
plus millions of viewers worldwide, spend their New Year's morning watching the Rose Parade.
In Pasadena, California, Eva and Alan, Eagle News, we are 1 with 25.
Old Lang Syne. Happy New Year, Eagle News viewers.
Thanks, Eva and Alan. That is today's Eagle News. Join us again tomorrow for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Anna Cui, and I am 1 with 25.